So, as planned for today's session, we were supposed to talk about AR VR integrated teaching sessions. There is so much to explore about this technology, and several big organizations, whether we talk about educational sector or industrial sector, everyone is running behind these technologies to create some mesmerizing experiences for their customers, or we talk about the general audience, whoever they are connected with. We might have heard a lot about metaverse, which is one of the most emerging thing we can suppose in today's world, and people are very curious to be a part of that metaverse. And these AR VR technologies are also a part of that entire universe in which you are able to experience some virtual things in such a manner that you are re- reacting with them, or you are experiencing them with real time scenarios. So there is a lot to work around this technology, but as we are working on a online session right now, so maybe it is not that much easier to understand the technology without actual set of devices that you may need to experience AR and VR. So, but I have tried to incorporate several videos in this entire session because that was the easiest way, so that even when we are connected in the remote session, you can just have an idea about how these AR VR technologies may be interfacing with the people around. In case if we were connected in a real time scenario, we had a classroom there, I could project some applications from the smartphone to you so that you can have an understanding about how these things are working. But still, with every example, I have incorporated some videos in this session so that you can have an idea about how these technologies can be an essential part of this teaching learning sessions. So, starting with the overview of these immersive technologies, what is AR and VR basically? AR stands for augmented reality, and VR stands for virtual reality. These are basically some, we can say, simulated kind of technologies that help us to replace our real life environment in some creative way. In case of your augmented reality, we try to add some digital elements to the live view, whether we are sitting in a room or whether we are in the outside areas. We can project some things from our specific AR powered apps, and those projected things will appear like they are right in front of us, so we can interact with them in real time. Similarly, on the other side, in case of virtual reality, this is, we can say, exactly opposite to augmented reality. In case of augmented reality, we are trying to superimpose things in our world and we try to interact with them. But in case of virtual reality, we simply try to enter inside a simulated environment, and there we will experience everything in 3D, and we try to interact with that simulated scenario. So it is like, one thing is bringing your some technology into real life, and other thing is like entering yourself into a virtual world and start interacting with things same as you do in the physical world. And one more concept that is being used these days more widely is mixed reality, which is a combination of these two, as well as some additional technologies such as IoT, etc. So I will be throwing some light on both of these, and by the end of the session, little bit talks we will have on mixed reality as well. In case of your AR, as I have already described, we are trying to create a virtual environment that tries to coexist with your real environment in which you have your day to day activities. So, the idea is to make it so much informative and to provide a real time access to the users to various things that are present inside a virtual environment only. One of the examples we can consider, like in some industries, if some machines are getting filled or some equipments are getting filled. So with the help of a AR based app, we can diagnose that, we can identify the issues in that particular machine, and accordingly we can react in a real time scenario to diagnose and to improve the efficiency of that particular machine which has experienced a failure. On the other side, in case of virtual reality, we try to create environmental simulations, and we cannot say that these virtual environments are available in our real time settings, but there are some specially designed headsets, or we can say wear boxes we have, that we have to put on our eyes, and then we are completely into that virtual world, and we start interacting with several objects that are present in that virtual world without feeling that we are away from them, because that creates a real time 3D simulation, and you can just move around your head and you can start thinking about all the things that are present in that particular VR headset. This is a image describing that what a person may be visualizing inside the headset. So once the person is using this type of headset, they can enter into such real time scenarios. If we are into the technology sector, we can think about such type of exploration, such as we are exploring a machine within that headset, and it will feel like we are actually dealing with several parts of that particular machine. Similarly, we can have some real time projections even when we are sitting inside a classroom environment. So you can see here in this image that a girl who is wearing a headset is exploring the entire universe within her classroom. And in this way, we can create some interactive and engaging experiences for the students, instead of limiting our sessions to whiteboards or to PPTs only. We can give them a time to explore everything in real time. They can have a feeling like they are touching these objects and they are exploring them with their internal features, whatever they want to experience with each one of them. So they can have that real time exposure with these devices. There are plenty of things that we may require to work with these AR and VR based technologies. So even if you want to incorporate these technologies into your teaching learning environment in your classroom settings, we may need these type of different devices. So one of the challenges we can say that for most of the institutions is first to have these set of devices or equipments, so that they can start experiencing these AR VR based simulations in their real time environments. They must there are plenty of options, because there are several companies that are designing these headsets at present, such as you can have Oculus Rift, you can have HTC Vive, there is some gears from Samsung as well. Google is creating several gears, and many other companies that are present in global market, they are creating these type of headsets that you can use for AR as well as VR based immersions. So let us have an example with certain video over here first. This is from SpaceX. They have designed a set of devices, including laptops and some additional glasses that can help you to visualize things like this. So your students will be able to experience this in real time settings. They can explore every object with the help of, you can see in this video, not just on the screen of the device, rather they can explore the parts of machines or maybe different types of elements with the help of their own settings using these AR and VR based equipments. There are plenty of things involved, whether it is about medical learning or it is about technology sector. So students are able to explore everything by entering inside that world in real time settings. You can see here that how um, amazing it can be for the students to be a part of this technology. So it can be incorporated in the classroom environment along with the traditional settings that we have. and they can start experiencing various things with the help of these simple devices. So this was one of the initial video just to give you an idea about how these devices can interact in the classroom settings or your lab environment, and how students can start experiencing things. So now I will present you few ideas about how you can combine your augmented reality into teaching learning practices, or how those sessions can be designed for classroom teaching. So first of all, as we have already talked about, that augmented reality tries to integrate your simulated world into the real one. And the good news is that there are plenty of applications that you can make use on your smartphones as well as on your tablet screen to stream a specific kind of video or a specific kind of object into the classroom setting. So as we have seen in the previous video as well, people are able to explore those, whether it is maybe a organ of the body or it is a kind of machine. They can explore every part of it with the help of those projections that are created inside the classroom environments. So you can consider it in several ways, such as maybe you want to give some repair instruction to the students, depending upon in which area you are teaching them, whether it is about uh, science, whether it is about technology, or some general subjects that we have in graduation or in master degree or in research areas. We can present them some navigation information in the real time scenarios. We can provide them diagnostic data, and they can have a complete control on whatever they are integrating with, or whatever they are seeing on their screen. They can explore every part of it in real time settings. In order to make this augmented reality look more interesting to the students, it is possible to superimpose sounds, videos, and graphics to the existing environments. There are mainly four different components that work around this technology. It includes some cameras and sensors, some processing units. You may require to do some projections that you can do with the help of some specific applications on your smartphone or tablet, and then some reflections are generated in the real time scenarios with which students start interacting. These components have their independent functionality in this entire scenario. For example, when we talk about cameras and sensors, they try to detect the depth of the image that we are trying to capture or demonstrate to the students. For example, you have captured images from some real-time settings, so the specially designed apps can identify the specific distance between two objects. They can identify the depth of certain object, and accordingly they will start superimposing that specific digital content into user's view at some other setting. In the similar manner, the projection and reflection things, they try to create a mapping between the AR apps as well as in the physical surface in which students or teachers are trying to interact. In order to process as well as transmit this information, the wireless networks are playing a great role. So as these days, even in our country, the 5G cellular networks are being more popular. Several companies are working behind this. So this is giving more exposure to the AR VR based content, and it has become much easier to spread information with these interactive classrooms, because they can be now incorporated into curricula with the help of these advanced wireless networks. And once you start incorporating these AR based applications into your learning environment, it can help educators as well as students to enjoy more engagement over every topic that is mentioned in their curriculum. Several people till now have been working in the gaming sector with this AR, or whether we talk about VR. So more people are concerned in the gaming industry till now. But several companies have now started developing content for many other industries, whether we talk about real estate, whether we talk about some sports sector, as well as for the educational sector. I will be telling you few names of those companies from where you can think of buying some content to add into your classroom environment and start having some experiments with the students as well. Once we start adopting these AR based technologies into educational settings, they can help us to manipulate 3D geometric forms. We can interact with those 3D systems, and we can even have some virtual field trips to understand the specific field environments. Even students can have engagement with, whether we talk about some civil sites or some construction sites, without stepping out of their classroom as well. Even inside their classroom, while wearing their headsets or these their AR based glasses, they can explore the entire scenario of a field setting. So if you are training your students on maybe some construction works, whether it is about interior designing or it is about some real estate projects, for everything they can have a virtual setting. They can explore it in advance, and after that, once they are capable enough to handle things in physical environment with that virtual training, then they can move out to the real time settings and start handling various things over there. In educational sector, the one problem that we have observed till now, about the slow adoption of AR, one is lack of funding. I must say this is one of the most important reason that reduce adoption of AR in educational sector, because schools or colleges or universities, first of all, they need to invest on quality AR equipments, so that students and teachers can start interacting with these things. And at the same time, quality of educational content, that is a difficult part. Although several companies have started working in this area, but because this technology is just revolving around the world and it has created so much buzz around, at this time it is little difficult to get right educational content that you would like to incorporate into your curriculum. But the good thing is that several design platforms have arrived, several online as well as offline softwares have arrived that you can use, or some people who are expert in this design area, they can start creating some educational content based on the curriculum that you have already in your universities. Or you can set up tie-ups with some big companies that are already into this educational sector with AR/VR apps, and buy some relevant apps from them and start using them in your classroom experiences to inspire student minds as well as to teach them with some new skills. There are so many ways to incorporate augmented reality into teaching. First one we have is to enhance student engagement and interest, because it can allow them to have a interaction with everything that they have in their curriculum. They can create their own virtual world and start exploring their new interest inside that. Let us have an example for this, that how it may be helpful. So several companies have now started designing apps or books, we must say, that have built-in AR and VR based content. So you can see that using a tab or a smartphone, they can interact within the parts of certain machines that are printed on their books. So they can have a visualization of how things are happening. So instead of just looking at the pages of their books, they can start interacting with every component. As you can see on this video, the students are able to see these things in real time settings, and they can have an idea about even internal parts of those machines. So once you are able to incorporate these type of books and these type of AR based settings into the classroom environment or in the laboratory settings, students are not limited just to the images or the verbal content that they are finding on their books. Rather, they can see it with the help of these applications, and they can even interact with the inside components. Here is another example that they are projecting with the help of AR based application. The idea is to have these specialized books, because these type of technologies, these type of interactions cannot work with the traditional books. That is a issue right now. But as these things are now becoming popular in the market, so it is easier to find these books as well. You can have them in your library settings, and you can allow students to interact with every component, like we have seen in this video. For every page, as there are different scenarios. Similarly, for the laboratory settings, you can see here that in this video a person is trying to create something with his hand. So it often leads to some wastage of components when we have new students. But now this all thing can be learned in a virtual environment. So instead of working on real things, the person is now working in a virtual environment to create the similar kind of thing that he was trying to create in the real time settings. So the student can have a complete training within that virtual setting, and once he is able to understand everything about that particular design or particular construction, then they can start exploring these things in the real time settings. Moving ahead, these AR based incorporations into teaching practices make content easier to understand, because it is not just about allowing your students to read some books. Instead, we are helping them to interact with everything that is mentioned in their curriculum. They can have a clear understanding about every aspect of whether it is about technology sector, or whether it is about science, or it is about space. Anything you want to teach them, they can have a real time interaction with it. They can feel like they are touching objects with their hand, and they are moving around them, they are exploring the interior portions of those objects, and they can have their own type of settings. They can even develop their own content to explore things, that how maybe a galaxy may appear, or maybe how a machine in a real time setting may appear. So for everything they can have their own setting. Similarly, these specific technologies can help students to practice new skills without even having a specific equipment in their laboratory setting. So many times when we have new students, like first year students we have in the laboratory, we have a concern that how they may start using different type of lab equipments. Many of them, while learning things, the different equipments get damaged. So that is a part of learning process. We can say that is a part of learning curve in most of the laboratory settings. So it is common to see things getting damaged in the laboratory settings when students are not familiar with the things, and they don't know how to control different equipments in that particular setting. And these things get more hazardous when we have to send people or students to some more dangerous situations, like some construction sites when they are working specifically in the civil area, or when they have to operate some heavy machineries, where chances of damage to machine or to human beings is more, with a slight mistake as well. So in such cases they can have like complete designs we can see in the virtual environment, as you can find in this particular video. This is a AR based projection. So before starting a specific construction, before visiting the entire setting in the real time scenario, we can have a visualization of how we need to create everything. This is just an example of creating a city plan. Right while you are sitting in your classroom, you are visualizing everything about that entire city plan. So it can be about a building plan also, or it can be about any other thing that we have in hand. We can help student to project things on a table itself, and there they can have their complete methodology, they can have their complete idea. And then once they have finalized their objectives, once they have finalized their design, then they can move out of that setting for the real time scenarios. These technologies are able to enhance collaboration between students as well as, and they can have a refined content with which they can understand the entire process, the step by step process that they need to learn in this entire educational career. They can have more collaboration with that content. And of course, when students are able to interact with different things in real time settings, they can have a better memory of those educational lectures, because they are dealing with some interactive stories with the help of these devices. So it makes things easier for them to understand, and maybe they can even project them in their real life with more confidence because they have interacted with them in these simulated environments. It further leads to enhanced sensory development of the students when we have integrated these type of sessions into the teaching and the practical labs. Students can have better understanding about, because they have real demonstrations instead of just seeing things in projectors, or instead of just getting things to know through books itself. They can have a complete multisensory experience. And for that, generally in AR world, what we do is, for example, we want to create a scenario of some museum, or maybe some lakeside, or any of the area that we want to project in the classroom. We take help of some IoT based sensors, and we try to create the environment more like a realistic one. So when a student is entering into a digital world and they are experiencing that setting with their eyes, in this, at the same time, the IoT based sensors are used to create a physical scenario that is almost same as what they are experiencing in the online world. So if they are looking at maybe some snow in their virtual setting, so in the outside world, the IoT sensor environment may create that level of temperature, they can create that level of wind setting, they can create that lighting arrangement, same as we are having inside. So even our senses, even our organs start feeling that particular atmosphere, that particular virtual setting in the real time environment as well. And that further helps students to understand the real meaning of whatever they are experiencing in that virtual world. So let us see another example of this. This involves a training on welding. So instead of having your own workshop based training for the new students that have just joined your college, you can have this type of welding training for them. This is especially for the workshop areas when we have to train new students. So you can see that this is actually what they are doing, but this thing they are seeing inside their headset. So it seems to the student that they are doing real welding without even working on this in real time settings. So this is what they are doing in real time, and this is what they are actually saying. So they can be more precise about their joints without even wasting any equipment in your real time settings. So once they are trained on these virtual settings, once they learn about how they can do precise welding on different types of equipment, how they can build variety of joints that we usually learn in welding workshops, after that you can send them to the real time settings where they have to deal with real arc, they have to deal with real cylinders, they have real equipment with them, so that they can be more safe in terms of this training, because they have learned all the protocols, they have developed precision in advance, and they can have an analysis about that setting where they try to design this entire welding process. So they can have control on the temperature settings, they can have control on the right equipment that they need to use, as well as they can have an idea about how a specific joint is built. So that was one of the examples that we can have for welding training for the students in your classroom setting. Cost effectiveness, if we see about how big industries are proposing these concepts, they say that this is a cost effective technology when it is integrated with augmented reality. But there may be one concern in everyone's mind, because we have to buy several types of equipments, there are several types of apps that you may need to project these things in your classroom environment. So how this may be a cost effective technology? So how it can be justified, basically, because Although in the initial investment you have to buy several types of applications as well as some equipments, but in the long run this can reduce wastage in your premises. So students need not to mess with the real time elements or components every time. They can have a complete training in the virtual environment, in a simulated environment first, and then they can go to the real time settings. So in this way you can reduce wastage of materials that is otherwise the case in most of the real time trainings. At the same time, several educational materials that are otherwise available in textbooks that can be replaced with these technologies, and you can have a real time interactive experience with the students instead of uh, buying some expensive books that are otherwise, for example, if you need a book related to a specific research area or related to specific training, those books are generally very expensive. But if your institutions have a specific set of equipments for these type of teaching experiences, your students need not to make additional investments. They can learn everything in the lab settings, and they can have interaction with all these things in real time environment at their place only. So let us have an idea with the help of another video that I have incorporated over here. The main idea to incorporate these videos is to give you an idea about how you can stop wastage of different components in your setting. So this is about designing a electronic circuit with the help of different equipments. Generally, students have to do this in their real-time setting, and they damage several elements out of this. Sometimes breadboards are damaged, sometimes LEDs, registers are damaged, but they can start learning this development on virtual setting. They can wear their headset and they can start playing with these apps. So at one side you can see there is a virtual environment, and at the same time, once the student has designed the circuit on the virtual environment, then they can start designing these things in their real time settings once they have learned everything in the virtual environment. So this is a way to make your students more confident about their designing process. They can start with some smaller projects and then they can move ahead with the larger one using these interactive apps. So moving ahead with virtual reality for teaching and learning, with augmented reality, we have seen so many examples with the help of those videos also, that how things are projected in front of students. Now, with the help of virtual reality, there is another level of scope we can see in our laboratory settings as well as in the classroom environments. With virtual reality, you basically need to wear a eye covering headset. That is the first requirement, and these headphones are there to replace your real world with the virtual one. So once you wear those headsets that I have already shown you with the help of some images at how they appear and how you have to wear them, they completely take you to a virtual world, and you will forget everything about your real world since you start interacting inside that virtual world. It creates its own universe depending upon what type of application you are trying to interact with. So you might have seen your kids playing variety of games, and you might have observed how they get immersed into those games. In the similar manner, when you wear these virtual reality headsets, you have you have no idea about what is happening in the outside world, but yes, you get into a whole new universe that is a virtual universe within your eyes. No one around you who is not wearing that headset will be able to experience what you are experiencing inside, because that is your own world that you are experiencing through those specially designed headsets, or we can say eye covering goggles we have designed. And with the help of them, you can have, it is not just about entertainment, it is not just about gaming. They can have complete educational exposure about trainings, about project designing, or about some constructions. Everything they can have within that virtual reality setting. This is a kind of computerized technology, and it requires you to have several devices that create virtual simulations, and the viewers need to have those specifically designed headset that can help them to take to a 3D world. Because in that, once you enter that 3D world, you are able to experience everything with the sense of simulations that are around you at that time, because you feel like you have stepped inside that particular virtual world. So we can say that even while sitting in your classroom, you are exploring something in London, or you might be experiencing some museum experience in some other country, even when you are sitting in your classroom. So in this way, students can have a virtual visit to variety of scientific areas wherever they want to visit, or they can have an exposure to certain industries. The things are expanding in this environment, because in some rural areas where students are not able to visit all those settings in real time scenarios, so the educational institutes can help them to understand that outer world with the help of these specially designed headsets, and they can have a virtual visit to anywhere in the world that they want to explore. One of the best examples we can see about this virtual reality is three-dimensional movies that we often see in our theaters. They give us some specific type of goggles to wear or the headsets to wear, and with the help of that, we start experiencing everything in our real-time settings. So if any one of you have already seen these 3D movies, you might have a clear idea about how that virtual reality appears, and you will have a feeling like everything is happening right in front of your eyes. One of the biggest advantage of this virtual reality incorporation into your teaching learning setting is that it can boost student engagement, because once student start interacting with those virtual settings, they can have a clear idea about what is happening in a entirely different world in which they have not yet gone, or they have not yet visited that in the real time settings. So an example for this we can include is that this is a laboratory setting that we are having. Students are not able to see a real lab maybe, but with this virtual setting they can start designing everything. This is a virtual visit to laboratory. So even if you are teaching your students maybe through some virtual sessions, but they have their devices with them, so they can start entering your virtual laboratory environment, and they can start designing these type of circuits or whatever you want to train them in your that particular setting. You can see that this is what they are seeing with the help of that headset. You can present them some challenges, you can present them some tasks, some classwork routines you can have, or some practical sessions you can have, and they can start working in these virtual settings. For all of the equipments that you have in the laboratory settings, they can make selections, they can grab them, they can start interacting with them. So this makes their learning process more easier and convenient. You can see that they can see all those things like they are holding them in real time. They can pick and place things, they can start interacting with them, and it appears like they are actually in that laboratory setting and they are working with several things. Even some bigger structures they can design, even some different settings they can do. They can have some electronic based designs, they can have some electrical settings, they can have some games, or they can have variety of things within that specific laboratory. Virtual reality presents a experience based learning experience to the students, because students are able to have a specialized setup that enables their mind to have an exposure to a specific area or a specific setting, and these things basically helps to develop their mind in more efficient manner to handle those, whether we say about curriculum based settings or whether we say about some practical exposures. They are able to interact them with them in the real time settings. So it may involve like if you are training students in the electrical settings, so instead of allowing them to work with three phase supply directly, you can give them this type of exposure with the help of your VR headsets. So they can learn about how this complete wiring works, and they can understand the process, how are the parallel connections, how are the serial connections, how they have to establish the joints between various phases, or how they have to take these things further to different devices. So this is the entire setting they can understand first. And once they have learned all this in their virtual environment, after that they can start exploring all these things in their practical labs. So this makes student sessions more interesting, and they can even do fault finding, they can do diagnosis, they can work on entire process right from the beginning to the end. Maybe if they are designing some new setups for electrical industry, or maybe for some home based wiring, so they can understand everything about that. And in the same manner, virtual reality is capable enough to help student have a virtual trip to different type of arrangements. As I have already told you that for the construction sites where this is really more challenging to send some new students to explore that construction site, that how it may be working, how they have to deal with various things over there. But if you have a virtual setting for that, you can train them on safety procedures that they have to follow in the field environment, as well as you can help them understand about that complete environment, that how different things are placed over there, how they have to interact with those things. So for that, let us have an example. This is a virtual reality application based on construction site. So the hands, these are the student who is wearing that headset will experience it like a real time session. This is a to-do list you can present to them, that what they have to do at the construction site. There are plenty of equipments. They can also learn about the safety procedures, that they have to wear a specific kind of shoes, they have to wear a specific kind of safety gears, a cap, everything. You can train them before visiting that specific construction site. So this is a very interesting video you may find over here, where students are interacting in real time. You can see that they are allowed to climb to the next floor, and they are using safety equipments for that. They are having different warnings at the time, they are having different controls for that. They just have to wear the headset, and even when they are sitting in their classroom, they are doing all these things. They are learning everything about their construction site. So you can see that there are so many warnings, and they are reported about errors also if they make a mistake over there. So instead of harming themselves in the real time settings, they can just learn about those phases that they have to follow in that environment when they have to enter that field. So they can feel like they are actually reaching that particular construction site where they have to handle variety of equipments. So they are being guided with the help of the applications, and they can see the surrounding areas very clearly. You can see that they are being uh, made aware about the safety settings that they have to follow at the site, how to use lift in that area, how the controls of that lift, or maybe some other equipments or machineries may be at the construction site. So everything they can have a complete training upon, even when sitting in the classroom environment. You can guide them that how they have to deal with a critical area that may be present at the construction site. There may be some barricades, there may be some signs that they have to understand, there may be a specific kind of task that they have to do based on their role in that particular project. So you can see that they are exploring everything, how they have to climb to the next floor when the construction is going on and there is no proper staircase. These type of applications you can find from several reputed companies that are developing educational content, and you can even ask them to design a specific type of content that is relevant to your curriculum. so that you can have a better exposure for the students as per your specific requirements. So you can see that the person has climbed now to the last floor of that construction site, and now they are being guided that what they have to do at this place, such as instructions are placed over here, like do not remove, or what they have to do with the safety settings over there. So everything they are, if they do their jobs right, they will be awarded accordingly. If they do something wrong over there, they will have a penalty for that. So everything they will learn in that virtual setting. How they can use the different carrying equipments, or how they can deal with the machineries over there, everything is being taught in this particular video. So if there are some specific equipments also at the construction site, they can learn to use that while sitting at the construction site itself. So let us move further. This was about the field setting that you can have with the help of virtual reality. And it can also assist you with the distance learning, because you can have everything with the help of your smartphones, with the help of your laptops or internet connection. You can explore everything right while sitting at a particular place. So whether you are training students in a virtual setting with a distance learning, or they are in the classroom environment, you can involve this technology with the traditional setting and help student explore everything in their real-time simulated environments. So it can help them understand, like
you're with a stable patient when he starts to
here I have added a simulation from
Your
medical
co-team is
world.
off dealing with another emergency.
So
it's clear there's little time to help this
when
patient.
these things may be required, before I play it further, like if you are training some medical students and you need to teach them about some critical care situations, so it is not possible to send some new students to those critical care units where they may have to deal with the patients in the real time settings. So in order to make them understand the situation when a person is surviving hard to live, you can create a virtual environment where they can understand about how they have to give that critical care, how they can save life of a person who is battling with some disease, or maybe having a severe accident, or maybe some heart condition. So every training can be provided to them with the help of these kind of virtual reality settings. So this is the interesting thing that you can visualize in this video, where they are having variety of.
It's been 10 months since your last ACLS certification. You're racking your brain trying to remember the right algorithms, but you can't. Sound familiar? It does to your clinical staff. ACLS competency decays right algorithms.
So I'm
you
just
can't.
taking it a little bit forward, so
your entire system.
so you
Training
can see
that
here that students
How can
can
you
wear
implement
this
high
headset.
impact refresher training across your entire system? Training that doesn't require expensive equipment, people resources, or time-consuming setup? Enter virtual reality. Health Scholars' new ACLS.
So this is a virtual setting that students can have, where they are being trained on how they have to deal with the critical care.
Effectively recreating the stress of a megacode.
Mr. Nelson is a 56-year-old man who's here for a PIC line.
The learner takes on the role of team lead, identifying different cardiac waveforms and using state-of-the-art voice recognition technology to direct virtual team members.
Andre, start chest compressions.
Starting compressions.
To shock, perform CPR.
Phyllis, let's go ahead and shock the patient.
Charging. All clear. And administer meds.
Aaron, administer 1 milligram of epinephrine.
Giving 1 milligram of epinephrine. Following AHA guidelines, the VR simulation reinforces addressing team members by name and making eye contact.
Phyllis, give 6 milligrams of adenosine.
Please use the name of the person to whom you are speaking. Test situational awareness of team member fatigue, task performance, and code management principles.
I really need to switch.
Let's switch chest compressors.
And strengthens closed-loop communications.
Giving adenosine 6 milligrams.
It has all of the AHA core rhythms plus post-arrest care.
The end tidal CO2 just spiked.
It lets your team easily practice, assess, and validate skills on their schedules. Learners are provided a debrief on failed waveform identification and on general code management principles needing improvement.
This simulation is over. Let's debrief. Thank you for taking the ACLS VR assessment. Unfortunately, you did not pass.
All for the same cost as an e-learning course and at least 50% less than instructor-led exercises. ACLS virtual reality simulation can be done whenever, wherever, and however often it's needed.
So this was one example that how very critical care training can be given to a new student, and they can understand everything in that virtual simulated environment. They were even talking about how much dose they have to give to that patient and what type of injection they have to give and how they have to provide the specific critical care. So instead of creating a risk with a real-time patient, the medical students can be trained with the help of these specific techniques, and they can have a real idea about how they have to deal with in those critical scenarios. These virtual reality based classroom collaborations can help you to have a high tech training environment where different atmospheres can be created in a controlled environment with the help of some additional equipments and sensors that you would like to connect in that real-time simulation environment. Even you will see that several states in India as well are now using simulated environments for driver's license training. Even complete tests of heavy vehicle driving are being taken with the help of some simulator based modules. So instead of letting drivers drive those heavy vehicles in a road, they are being taken to some simulated environment where they can be tested for all their skills that they have to control those vehicles in the real-time settings. So that also avoids some risk in the field area, as well as help to access the capacity and abilities of those particular people who are taken to that simulated environment.
The VR Fire Trainer is an easy-to-use
Here
all-mobile
I have
digital training
added one more
solution that
example
delivers accurate
that is about fire training. So you can see that generally, if you have to teach students about fire training in a classroom setting, you cannot put a fire over there and then ask them to take care of that fire. But instead, these virtual settings can help you to make them understand that how they have to use fire extinguisher and other equipments that are necessary for that particular setting. So they just have to wear this headset, and they will see some virtually placed fire instances around, and accordingly they have to react with these kits. So these type of applications can be installed in your these specific gears that they have to wear, and accordingly they can learn everything. So let us see this how they are interacting in this particular video.
fire safety training. Fight fires in different high-quality, fully immersive environments. Choose between several extinguishing agents for various fire types. Experience realistic fire spreading, smoke development, and get analytics based on your performance. Everything you need for a realistic and immersive fire training, all enclosed in a military-grade Pelican case. Book a demo today.
So this is how you could have a real-time training for the students with the help of these different equipments. So now let us talk a little bit about mixed reality, that how it may help you to integrate things further into your classroom environments. When we talk about mixed reality, we can say that this is a combination of multiple technologies, especially AR and VR. When we collaborate over them, we try to create some real-time senses for the classroom settings or in industrial settings or wherever you are working. So the idea is to create a virtual environment where a person can truly immerse themselves, and in order to achieve that, as I have already told you, that we can take help from some other technologies that can be such as IoT we have, or AI based experiences we have. We just have to integrate them, and then we have to create a real-time setting for the students in the classroom environment, that they can understand the difference between that complete universe that you have created with the help of those simulations for them. There are so many things that are involved in this mixed reality environment. First, we have understanding about environment has to be developed, and it will help you to understand how that virtual and real world can be brought together. And then human understanding. Before developing a mixed reality based platform, one need to understand that how people react with different type of equipments around, how they feel the speech, the movement, how their body reacts to them. So once these things are understood accordingly, we can make use of technologies such as sensors and cameras and other inputs to control those behaviors in the human body, such as if we want to create a feel of cold wave, so what type of sensors we may need to use around, or what type of wind generation technologies we may need to use to create that realistic experiences with that mixed reality environment. Similarly, it requires a specific sound arrangement, since you are trying to create a 360-degree virtual experience to the audiences. In the same manner, you have to incorporate 360-degree audio experience so that it can create a immersive feel for everyone who is experiencing that technology, and they can have a clear feel like they are actually inside that world, and along with 3D view, they are experiencing 3D voice or audios as well. It can further help you with location and positionings. Once you have developed a clear understanding about these things, your XR based technologies can be easily incorporated into that entire setting. And of course, you require some 3D assets for this purpose. And in case of mixed reality, we usually talk about holograms, and many educational institutes have now started investing on these holograms. It helps audience to view that three-dimensional content in more realistic manner while interacting with that in real-time settings. This mixed reality technology, because this is inspired from AR and VR, so this appears more like we are trying to create a relationship between humans and machines. So there may be a specific space where a person is sitting, but we are taking them to a different landscape where they can interact with different things. Let me show you a image or a video, I must say, about how you can create this type of experiences. See this very carefully. What is happening basically, we have a simple classroom setting, a wooden floor is there, but we are projecting a mixed reality based creature over here, and that appears like a real setting. So see this video, and this is definitely a very amazing thing that we can have. So you can see that there was nothing, but still a complete realistic experience was created for these students who are sitting over there, and they saw like a whale came, and even the water spread it around. So everything was like a real experience. However, there is nothing like that. So this is what we call about a mixed reality based immersive experience that we can have with these technologies. While working on this, you may need holographic devices that create some semi-immersive experiences for the users so that they can have a real-time interaction with different things that are happening around. These devices include like Magic Leap VR or Microsoft HoloLens you can have, or Google Cardboard is also there. The idea is to first have these holographic devices, and then you may require some applications that are specific to the content that you want to visualize or you want to explore with your students. It can involve some operations in technology sector, or it may be some product assembly lines, or it may be some factory inspections. There are variety of things that you can experience depending upon the area in which you are teaching your students. these immersive devices are designed with a specific kind of displays that are essential to create those 3D experiences. So there is a specific angle on which you will be watching everything, but you have nothing to do with that because everything is immersed inside that device that you will be using for these experiences. But yes, the designers make use of so many things. They have to take care of the uh, vision of your eyes, they have to take care of the angles on which everything will be placed, and they have to take care of how that 3D exposure has to be created in, so that a flow of immersion can have we have in the real settings. So here one hologram based experience I have added. This is for the mixed reality based idea we can have.
Axiom Holographics produces more hologram devices for
So
more
you can see
industries
that
than any
people
other
are
company in
seeing
the
these
field.
things through their
Perhaps you see
lenses,
holograms
but
in
this
movies like
appears
Star
like
Wars or
everything is in
Star
real
Trek.
time settings.
Holograms are objects that look solid, but they're made out of light. We do this with laser projection, and we're also the company that invented the multi-user light wave bending technology that allows multiple people to see a hologram at the same time. For architecture, we have full-sized hologram rooms where multiple people can go in together and walk through life-size CAD models or polygon designs. For government and town planning, we have hologram business tables. These project holograms up to 70 centimeters high. You can zoom in on all of the detail. A few years ago, our company produced the world's most powerful graphics engine for running laser scans and point cloud data. So these hologram rooms can project entire cities or entire countries. For entertainment, we have hologram dinosaur rooms where up to 5 people can go in together on a dinosaur adventure. Trials of hologram entertainment rooms have shown them to be extremely profitable. We also build hologram arcade machines. These are like traditional arcade machines, except the characters are made using laser light and they project up to 90 centimeters away from the screen. There are 15 games available at present. Each machine comes with 6 games, and the games are all 4 players. For live shows, conferences, and advertising, we have holograms that project on stage. They don't need any glasses at all if you're more than 3 meters away, but they do require a level of darkness. If you would like to get attention for your restaurant, we have hologram menu machines where customers can see the meals float in the air and choose from a menu. For museums, we have hologram walls. We also have holographic tours of real-world places. This is where we scan in the real world, and then people with a controller in their hand can go on an interactive tour. The whole thing's been perfectly calibrated to real-world size and depth, so it looks like a hole in the wall that projects into a totally different environment. We have plenty of devices for selling real estate, either off the plan or scanning in something that already exists. We have full hologram rooms for universities or hologram walls for ordinary schools. We also have all of the devices necessary for scanning in your corporate assets. If your company owns factories, hotels, or shopping malls, this is a wonderful way to do your planning or to give visitors a tour of your scattered assets. Or for something really big, we have 20-meter-long hologram tunnels. They project real depth to look like a window where you can see out in all directions. The holograms come 3 meters out of the wall into the tunnel where the people can touch them. In 2019, we came second in the world's largest technology competition in Shenzhen. Also, in September, the mayor of
So this was one example how this mixed reality experience you can have with the help of these holograms. These are specifically designed environments where you can interact with different type of objects. Now the sources that you can have for educational AR VR content, there are so many options that you can find online. And these are some of the most popular, I must say, companies that are providing easy access to educational AR VR content. They have already designed variety of applications. They have a range of settings that you can explore around, and for a specific laboratory environment as well as for some practical teachings, you can have different applications from these companies. They are also collaborating with several universities around the world and colleges around the world to create content based on the demands of the specific curriculums in those areas. So these are some of the most commonly used platforms. You can find many others out of this also. Along with the sources that we have that are providing us already created or demand based educational content, if someone in your universities are efficient enough to deal with AR VR based designs, they can have these different tools and apps on which they can start designing AR VR based content. Although it requires you to have some information about how the different codes work, but there are some applications that are available these days, such as overlay app. You can see these are available to use without coding knowledge as well, because there are some drag and drop based apps and tools being designed that can help you to create AR VR based content. But yes, the we can say that Unity and Infinity, these type of softwares that have complete integration for coding as well as establishment of different AR VR based applications, they have vast ability. So if people at your place are capable enough to handle with the deal with the coding environments, and they can deal with different technology based settings, they can work on these applications, they can start developing their own content for different educational settings, and they can have a specific design based on the curriculum to project in front of the students. So this was all about this AR VR based design and development session. If some of the sources that I have already talked about, you can find them online, such as I have opened a few of them for you over here. Such as this is one of the list that I have already shown you. Eon Reality, they have plenty of products that can help you to immerse into the virtual environments. It is not just about gaming. They are providing several applications on educational settings, such as if I go to this application examples platform, you can find here like they have some fine arts related trainings they have, or some health and human services they have, mathematics, science and engineering they have. So these type of these are not just some videos. Once you have your devices with yourself, if you have purchased your headsets, you have your glasses, then you can have these things in form of a specific application installed in your headsets, and you can start exploring these for specific trainings. So they have unlimited types of training sessions, or we can say applications available with them that you can access depending upon your specific requirements. Similarly, we have another platform, Zspace. One of the videos from them I have shown to you, in which you have seen these two. So Zspace is providing that type of content where you can explore different, we can say, objects, or some living beings or some machineries in real-time settings with the help of their equipments, a specific set of equipments that they have in their hand. They have variety of content with them, such as if we go to solutions part, you will see here they have content from KG to 12th class complete education. They have career and technical education content. They can provide you about advanced sciences and sports, etc. So variety of areas they are dealing with, and you can have a different type of curriculum based applications also from them. Similarly, we have another option from Google Expenditure, and they have plenty of applications in variety of areas, such as science and technology. We have arts, we have geography and national history. A huge list you will find over here. And inside this, they have a number of options that you can interact with. You can use these applications with your headsets and start exploring them with your students to have a clear idea about different things that you want to teach them as per your curriculum. So these were different things that we had to discuss about today's session, and I'm looking forward for your feedbacks that how you find this. I had to take help from several videos to complete this session, because this was the only way we could immerse through different AR and VR based experiences, since we are not having the headsets in this remote setting right now. So I hope those videos have helped you to understand the potential of this technology, and now you would be interested to incorporate this somehow into your teaching learning practice.